but he wouldn't book me, and we're friends. I went for drinks to his apartment after the show. We were friends and buddies. And why can't I get on the Tonight Show? He said, well, what you do is not appropriate for the Tonight Show.
9 of the most glamorous, drop-dead, gorgeous women in Hollywood. Perfect makeup, red carpet smiles, looking flawless under the bright studio lights. Then the camera gets mercilessly close, and everything changes. Pimples, greasy, oily skin, massive pores, scars, wrinkles, no makeup, no mercy. For 30 years, Johnny Carson ruled The Tonight Show and welcomed hundreds of A-list female stars. But what he and his crew accidentally exposed in those raw, unfiltered moments will blow your mind. Today on Hollywood Files, we're counting down the 9 women with the most shocking, bare-faced secrets in Tonight Show history. Every single one has a completely different, jaw-dropping flaw, straight from backstage rumors and rare footage you have probably never seen. You won't believe who takes the #1 spot. If you love explosive Hollywood dirt like this, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell right now. Don't miss what's coming. Stick around till #1 because this one is gonna shock you the hardest. Let's dive in. 9. Betty White. Number 9 on our list is a name that might genuinely surprise you. Because even America's sweetest golden girl wasn't safe from the Tonight Show spotlight. It's 1986, the studio is packed, the band is swinging, and Johnny Carson announces one of his all-time favorite guests, Betty White. The second she walks out, the audience explodes. At 64 years old, Betty is already a television legend, and tonight she's in full roast mode. She plops down on the couch, flashes that $1 million smile, and fires the first shot. Johnny, honey, you're starting to look like my grandfather. And he passed away in 1965. The crowd loses it. Betty throws her head back and laughs that big, open-mouthed, infectious laugh she's famous for. Johnny slaps the desk, pretending to be wounded, and the two of them go back and forth like old pals. The energy is pure gold. Millions watching at home are smiling, thinking this is the timeless, glowing Betty White they adore. But then the control room makes one quiet call. Camera 2, tight close-up on Betty, now. The lens glides in slowly, mercilessly. The bright studio lights hit her face dead on. And in that instant, the illusion cracks wide open. Under the harsh glare, Betty's bare skin tells the real story. Fine cracks of dry skin spider around the corners of her mouth. Small age spots and late-day blemishes. The kind that come with 7 decades. Pop clearly against the faded powder. No fresh moisturizer, no last-minute touch-up, just raw, real skin after a long day. For a split second, the studio audience goes strangely quiet, as if they can't believe what they're seeing. The Golden Girl suddenly looked human, vulnerable, flawed. Johnny catches the shift immediately. His laugh falters for half a heartbeat. He recovers fast with classic Carson charm and says, "Betty, you always look so fresh, even if you didn't have time to moisturize this morning." The audience chuckles, but the joke lands a little heavier than usual. Backstage, the makeup artist is already sprinting toward the green room with powder in hand, whispering, "We missed it. We completely missed it." The director is frantically waving at the monitors. "Pull back! Pull back now!" The segment ends. The applause dies down. The cameras cut to commercial. But the real drama happens after the lights dim. Alone in her dressing room, Betty White sits in front of the harsh mirror. The laughter from the stage is gone. She gently touches the dry lines around her mouth, and the tears come. Quiet, private tears. The woman who spent decades making America laugh suddenly felt the sting of being truly seen, flaws and all. She whispers to herself, "They saw me. They really saw me tonight." And that, folks, is how Johnny Carson and his crew accidentally pulled back the curtain on number 9. Betty White's raw, unfiltered, barefaced truth. Stick around, because number 8 is even wilder. Subscribe button and hit the bell right now. 8. Lucille Ball. Have you ever wondered what the queen of comedy looked like when the cameras caught her completely off guard? It's March 1974. The Tonight Show studio is buzzing. Johnny Carson steps up to the microphone and delivers the introduction everyone's been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Lucille Ball. The audience erupts as Lucille struts out. Red hair, million-watt smile, looking every bit the glamorous star America grew up loving. But behind that famous grin was a woman whose private life had become a pressure cooker. Fresh off her bitter divorce from Desi Arnaz, she was now married to Gary Morton, and Hollywood was already whispering about explosive fights at home. Lucille had been working non-stop, filming her new shows while trying to hold on to her perfect image. Tonight, she was here to do what she did best: tell wild backstage stories from the original I Love Lucy and clown around on the couch. She launches into one of her classic routines, flailing her arms, doing that wide-eyed wah face, and the whole studio is in stitches. Johnny is howling, slapping his desk. For a few minutes, it feels like pure magic. Then the control room makes the call. Camera 2, tight close-up on Lucy, reaction shot. The lens moves in. The brutal studio lights hit her face, and America sees it. A fresh, angry, purplish bruise spreads across her left cheekbone, barely covered in my makeup that was already cracking under the heat. The studio audience's laughter dies instantly. You can hear the collective gasp on the original tape. Johnny's smile freezes. His eyes go wide with genuine shock. For a split second, the king of late night is speechless. He finally stammers, "Lucy, you okay? That looks like it really hurts." The joke falls flat. Backstage chaos explodes. The director hisses into the headset, "Zoom out! Zoom out now! Less face!" The lighting crew frantically dims the key lights. The makeup artist is already racing toward the green room with concealer. Rumors had been flying for weeks. Some said the bruise came from a screaming match with Gary Morton the night before. Others whispered she'd taken a bad fall on set and refused to cancel her Carson appearance. Lucille never confirmed anything. She just kept smiling through the rest of the segment like the iron-willed pro she was. But when the red light finally went off, the queen of comedy sat alone in her dressing room, staring at that bruise in the mirror. And for once, she wasn't laughing. That's how Johnny Carson accidentally exposed number 8, Lucille Ball's mysterious bare-faced bruise. Number 7, Carol Burnett. On a chaotic Thursday night in the fall of 1979, inside NBC Studio 1 in Burbank, California, The Tonight Show turned one of America's most beloved comedy queens into a sweaty, red-faced disaster right before 20 million viewers. The house lights were blazing when Johnny Carson grinned and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incomparable Carol Burnett and her partner in crime, Tim Conway." The audience went wild. Carol and Tim had been killing it all season with their legendary sketch comedy, and tonight was no exception. They launched straight into one of their famous ugly cry bits, the kind where Carol's face contorts into pure cartoonish despair. She threw her head back, wailed dramatically, then burst into that uncontrollable, body-shaking laugh she was famous for. Tim kept feeding her lines, and the more she laughed, the harder she cried. The studio was roaring. Then the control room gave the order. Camera 2, tight close-up on Carol, full face, now. The lens moved in slowly. The scorching studio light slammed straight onto her skin. Subscribe button and hit the bell right now, and the illusion shattered. Carol's bare face was glowing, not with beauty, but with thick, shiny layers of oil. Her cheeks and forehead were flushed bright red, almost purple from the intense laughing and crying. Sweat mixed with the remaining makeup, creating greasy streaks that caught every highlight. The ugly cry she had deliberately performed suddenly looked far too real. The studio audience went dead silent for a terrifying half-second. You could hear the collective gasp on the original tape, before the laughter came roaring back. Johnny's eyes widened in genuine panic. He leaned forward, half laughing, half horrified, and blurted out, "Carol, you're scaring me. You look like you're having a heart attack over there." He slapped the desk, but his voice cracked with real shock. Backstage, total panic erupted. The makeup crew sprinted out during the commercial break with towels and powder puffs, frantically dabbing at Carol's glistening face while whispering, "We can't keep up. She's sweating through everything." The director was yelling into the headset, "Wider shots, wider shots. Do not let that close-up stay on air." But Carol kept going. She leaned even closer to the camera, forcing the lens to capture every shiny, red, oil-slicked inch of her face, turning her own ugly cry into pure comedy gold. When the final red light finally went dark that night, Carol sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her reflection. The roaring applause outside had faded. The sweat had dried, but the red flush and greasy shine were still there in the mirror. For a brief moment, the woman who had spent decades making America laugh looked exhausted and painfully aware that millions had just seen the real, unfiltered, unglamorous her. 6. Bette Midler. On Thursday, May 21st, 1992, inside NBC Studio One in Burbank, California, The Tonight Show delivered its most emotional farewell and accidentally exposed the raw, exhausted face of one of Hollywood's most flamboyant divas. The air was thick with nostalgia. This was the second-to-last episode of Johnny Carson's legendary run. Johnny, fighting back tears, stepped to the microphone and announced his final musical guest. "Ladies and gentlemen, the divine Miss Bette Midler." The studio erupted. Bette walked out in full diva mode. Big hair, dramatic gown, that signature theatrical energy, and the crowd went wild. She sat down for a heartfelt chat, then stood up for one last song. The lights dimmed. The band began the slow, smoky intro to One for My Baby and One More for the Road. Bette closed her eyes and poured every ounce of her soul into the performance. For 3 straight minutes, she sang live. No lip sync, no safety net, her voice cracking with genuine emotion as she changed the lyrics to say goodbye to Johnny. The entire studio was spellbound. Johnny's eyes glistened. Millions at home were glued to their screens. Then the control room made the call. "Camera 2, tight close-up on Bette. Hold it. Hold it right there." The lens moved in slowly, mercilessly. The blazing studio lights that had hidden everything for 30 years now revealed the truth. After 3 minutes of intense live singing under scorching heat, Bette's bare face was completely exposed. Her heavy theatrical makeup had melted and cracked. Massive enlarged pores stared back at the camera. Her skin was flushed a deep, angry red, covered in stress-induced red blotches and tiny raised bumps that looked almost like a rash. Sweat glistened on her forehead and cheeks. The once glamorous diva suddenly looked exhausted, raw, and shockingly human. A few people in the audience actually gasped out loud. Someone whispered loudly enough to be picked up on the mic, "Oh my God, is she sick?" The rumor spread like wildfire through the studio in seconds. Some viewers at home even called the station the next day asking if Bette Midler had some terrible skin condition. Johnny's eyes were wet with real tears. He leaned forward, voice thick with emotion, and whispered, "Bette, you make me. I can't even find the words." He was visibly moved, but the camera stayed locked on her flushed, pore-heavy face. Backstage, the entire crew froze in dead silence. The director didn't dare cut away. Staff members were frantically whispering into headsets, "Her skin is blowing up on camera. The pores, the redness. It's too much." No one moved. No one dared interrupt the historic moment. When the final red light finally went dark that historic Thursday night, Bette Midler sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her reflection in the harsh mirror. The roaring applause outside slowly faded. The divine Miss M, famous for her larger-than-life glamour, looked at the tired, red, blotchy face staring back at her, and for the first time that night, The mask of the performer was completely gone. 5. Marilyn Monroe. Number 5 on our list is none other than the ultimate blonde bombshell herself, Marilyn Monroe. It's May 1962, just months before her tragic death. The Tonight Show studio is electric with anticipation as Johnny Carson announces, "Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Marilyn Monroe." The audience erupts as Marilyn glides onto the stage in a tight, shimmering dress, her platinum blonde hair glowing under the lights, flashing that world-famous seductive smile. She sits down on the couch, crosses her legs, and begins chatting with Johnny in her soft, breathy voice. For the first few minutes, she looks every bit the glamorous icon America worshipped. But then the control room makes the call. "Camera 2, tight close-up of Marilyn. Hold it right there." The lens slowly zooms in. The harsh studio lights hit her face without mercy, and the illusion shatters. Under the bright lights, Marilyn's bare skin tells a completely different story. Her face glistens with thick oil, greasy patches spreading across her forehead, nose, and cheeks. Dark circles and puffiness under her eyes reveal sleepless nights and the heavy emotional toll she was carrying. Small blemishes and uneven skin texture are clearly visible despite the heavy studio makeup. The perfect sex symbol suddenly looked exhausted, fragile, and painfully human. Johnny's smile falters for a split second. He leans forward with genuine concern and says, "Marilyn, darling, you still look absolutely stunning, but are you getting enough rest, honey?" The audience chuckles nervously. Backstage, immediate chaos erupts. The makeup artist whispers urgently, "She's breaking through the makeup again." The director frantically signals to pull back the camera. Rumors had been swirling wildly about Marilyn's struggles with insomnia, pills, and the crushing pressure of being the most desired woman in the world. When the red light finally went off, Marilyn sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her reflection in the harsh mirror. The roaring applause slowly faded. The world's biggest sex symbol gently touched her oily, tired skin, and for one quiet moment, the glamorous mask completely disappeared, revealing the vulnerable and broken woman behind the legend. 4. Totie Fields. Subscribe button and hit the bell right now. On Friday, January 14, 1972, inside NBC Studio One in Burbank, California, The Tonight Show accidentally ripped the curtain off one of Hollywood's cruelest open secrets. The house band is swinging hard when Johnny Carson steps to the microphone and booms, "Please welcome the one and only Totie Fields." The plus-size comedian struts out in a loud sequin dress, microphone in hand, ready to roast the entire room, especially herself. Totie drops onto the couch, looks straight into the camera, and unleashes the first savage self-roast. "Look at this face. They say beauty is only skin deep. Well, honey, my skin must be 6 feet deep because nothing's getting through." She throws her head back and laughs that huge open-mouthed laugh. Her double chin wobbles heavily. Under the blazing studio lights, her bare face glistens with thick layers of oil, shiny, greasy patches across her forehead and cheeks that the heavy makeup couldn't hide. Every time she laughs, the double chin shakes and catches the light like a mirror. The audience's laughter falters for a heartbeat. You can hear the uncomfortable silence before they explode again. Johnny is absolutely losing it. He slams the desk with both hands, tears streaming down his face, and shouts, "Totie, you are one of the funniest guests I have ever had in my entire life." The crowd cheers, but the tension is thick. Backstage, the director is screaming into the headset, "Keep the shots wide. Wide angles only. Do not zoom on her face." The lighting crew is desperately trying to kill the overhead spots because the oil on her skin is reflecting like a disco ball. The makeup artist stands frozen in the wings, knowing she had already caked on double the usual grease-cutting powder, and it had completely failed. But Totie wasn't done. She leaned forward, forcing the camera closer, and kept twisting the knife. "My husband says I'm beautiful," when the lights are off and he's drunk. The studio howls, but the rumors had been circling for years. Insiders whispered her husband was embarrassed to be seen with her in public, that she cried in her dressing room after every weight joke, and that Hollywood agents had begged her to lose weight or get off television because she was too ugly for close-ups. When the red light finally went dark that cold January night, Totie sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her shiny, double-chinned reflection in the mirror. The roaring applause outside slowly faded. For a moment, the sassy queen of self-deprecation let the mask drop, and the pain of being America's favorite ugly fat girl stared right back at her. 3. Dolly Parton. On a crisp evening in February 1979, inside NBC Studio One in Burbank, California, The Tonight Show delivered one of its most jaw-dropping surprises, when the Queen of Glamour walked out almost completely barefaced and proved that even the biggest wig and makeup legend in country music had something shocking to hide. Johnny Carson grinned wide as he announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Dolly Parton." The audience exploded. This was only her second major appearance, but Dolly had already become a sensation. She strolled out in her usual over-the-top outfit, but something was very different. No towering wig, no full glam makeup, just Dolly, real Dolly, with her natural thin, frizzy blonde hair pulled back simply and almost no makeup at all. She sat down, chatted for a few minutes, then reached into her bag with a mischievous smile. "Johnny, I brought you a little something special." She handed him a book titled What I Know About Wigs, Fancy Clothes and Makeup. Johnny opened it, and every single page was blank. The studio went silent for a split second, then burst into laughter. But the real shock hit when the director called for the close-up. The camera glided in. The harsh studio lights slammed onto Dolly's face. America saw the truth for the very first time. Her natural skin was rough and country girl textured, sallow, slightly pitted with large visible pores across her cheeks and nose. Without the heavy foundation and contour she always wore, her skin looked dry and uneven. Her real hair was thin and frizzy, nothing like the giant blonde wigs she was famous for. The glamorous bombshell everyone knew suddenly looked like a simple Tennessee mountain girl who had just rolled out of bed. Johnny's eyes widened in genuine shock. He stared at the blank book, then back at her bare face and blurted out, "Dolly, you're full of surprises tonight." He laughed loudly to cover his astonishment, but the surprise was written all over his face. Backstage, total pandemonium broke out. The makeup artist stood frozen, mouth open, whispering, "She came out like that on purpose?" The director was frantically yelling, "Adjust the lights! Kill the key light! Her skin is blown up on camera." The entire crew was buzzing. She never leaves the house without full makeup and a wig, and tonight she gave us nothing. Dolly just kept smiling sweetly, forcing the camera to stay on her real, unglamorous face while she joked about how she doesn't go anywhere without the works. The contrast was devastating. When the red light finally went dark that February night, Dolly sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her reflection, the real face she had hidden from the world for years. The roaring applause outside slowly faded. For one quiet moment, the biggest glamour icon in music looked at her plain, sallow, pore-filled skin and smiled softly at the woman she used to be. 2. Phyllis Diller. And now we go straight to number 2, the woman who proudly declared herself the ugliest girl in showbiz and turned every flaw into pure comedy chaos. It was a wild Wednesday night in September 1973, inside NBC, Studio One in Burbank, California. Phyllis Diller had already appeared on The Tonight Show dozens of times, but this episode would become legendary. Johnny Carson stepped to the microphone with a huge grin and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back the one and only Phyllis Diller." Phyllis burst onto the stage in her signature ridiculous outfit, hair already standing straight up like she'd been electrocuted. No wig, no heavy foundation, just raw Phyllis. She immediately launched into her most outrageous bit ever, announcing she had just posed for a centerfold in Field and Stream, the famous hunting magazine. She struck an absurd, sexy pose, then cackled like a witch. The director in the control room gave the order. Camera 2, tight close-up on Phyllis. Stay on her face as long as you can. The lens moved in slowly and mercilessly. The blazing studio lights hit her bare face full force. America saw everything. Her prominent hook nose dominated the frame. Her large, protruding buck teeth flashed every time she opened her mouth. Her real hair was completely welled and untamed, sticking out in every direction with zero styling. This was not Hollywood glamour. This was Phyllis Diller in her full, unfiltered, self-proclaimed ugly glory. She leaned aggressively toward the camera, pointed at her own face, and roared, "Look at this mug! I am officially the ugliest girl in show business. My mother used to say, 'Phyllis, thank God you have a sense of humor because you sure don't have a face.'" The audience went dead silent for one shocked heartbeat, then exploded into hysterical laughter. Johnny Carson completely lost control. He doubled over, slamming the desk with both hands, tears streaming down his face as he gasped for air and shouted, "Phyllis, you are the funniest guest I have ever had on this show. I mean it. You are absolutely incredible." Backstage, the makeup artist threw her hands up in total defeat and walked away. There was nothing left for her to fix. The director made a historic decision. He kept the extreme close-up on Phyllis's face longer than any guest in the entire history of The Tonight Show. He wanted every crooked tooth, every sharp angle of that hooked nose, and every wild strand of hair burned into America's memory. Phyllis didn't hide a single flaw. She weaponized them. She had spent years turning society's cruel judgment into her greatest comedy weapon. When the red light finally went dark that September night, Phyllis sat alone in her dressing room, staring at her reflection in the harsh mirror. The thunderous applause and wild laughter slowly faded. For one quiet moment, the queen of self-roast looked at the same hooked nose and wild hair she had mocked for decades and smiled with quiet satisfaction. 1. Joan Rivers. After all the shocking, barefaced moments we have uncovered tonight, we've saved the most brutal, most painful, and most courageous one for the very top spot. It was a fiery Tuesday night in October 1978, inside NBC Studio One in Burbank, California. Joan Rivers wasn't just a guest. She was guest hosting The Tonight Show that entire week, sitting in Johnny Carson's chair. The studio was packed, the energy electric. Joan leaned into the microphone with that razor-sharp smile and went straight for the jugular, her own. She looked dead into the camera and launched the longest, rawest self-roast the show had ever seen. "I was the ugliest little girl you've ever seen," she declared. "My own mother was so ashamed of me, she used to introduce me as my daughter, the one with the face. She'd say, 'Joan, why can't you look like your cousin?' Oh, wait, she died." The audience gasped, then exploded. Joan didn't stop. She pointed at her cheeks and chin, describing in graphic detail the severe cystic acne that had destroyed her teenage skin, the deep, painful nodules that left permanent pitted scars. "These craters, these were my face before I started carving myself up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Look at them. I'm not hiding anymore." Even though the makeup crew had slathered on triple the usual amount of heavy industrial concealer, the old acne scars still showed clearly under the harsh studio lights. Deep, moonlight craters across her cheeks and jawline that no amount of powder could erase. The more she joked, the closer the camera got, and the more America saw the real, pre-surgery Joan Rivers. Johnny Carson, standing off to the side, was laughing so hard he was doubled over, slapping his knee. Between gasps for air, he kept shouting, "Joan, you are the bravest, most courageous woman in all of show business. I mean it. Nobody else would dare do this." Backstage, the entire crew was in absolute panic. The makeup artist had prepared the thickest, heaviest camouflage cream in her kit, but Joan had deliberately wiped half of it off right before walking out. whispering, "Tonight they see the real me." The director was frantically motioning for wider shots, but Joan kept leaning forward, forcing the close-ups, turning her deepest insecurity into the longest, most savage self-roast in Tonight Show history. Hollywood rumors had swirled for years. Joan's mother had publicly shamed her looks so badly that Joan once said she grew up feeling invisible and disgusting. The constant plastic surgeries that followed were her way of erasing the pain of that ugly child she could never forget. When the red light finally went dark that October night, Joan sat alone in the dressing room, staring at her scarred reflection in the harsh mirror. The thunderous applause and wild laughter slowly faded. For one quiet moment, the comedy mask dropped, and the little girl her own mother had been ashamed of looked back at her. That's how Johnny Carson accidentally exposed number one, Joan Rivers' raw, pre-surgery, deeply acne-scarred, bare-faced truth, the most shocking and courageous of them all. And that, folks, was the real face behind the legend. We've just walked through 9 raw, unfiltered backstage stories from The Tonight Show. Moments Johnny Carson and his crew never meant to expose. From greasy skin and double chins to deep acne scars and wild hair, we saw the real faces behind the glamorous legends. But as the lights fade, I want you to remember this. Whether they were picture perfect or visibly flawed, every woman and every artist deserves respect for who they truly are. Beauty isn't just about flawless skin under studio lights. It's about courage, humor, and humanity. No one should be shamed for their natural face. Now it's your turn. Which bare-faced moment shocked you the most tonight? Who do you want us to expose next in our Hollywood Files series? Drop your answer in the comments right now. If you love this countdown, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss another explosive Hollywood secret. Thanks for watching. Stay real, and we'll see you in the next one.